See you all joining again for our second virtual event. My name is Marine Palmuthian. I am a UX research leader and one of the UXDX LA ambassadors. And with me today is Billy. Billy, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Mhm. Hi, everyone. My name is Billy Carlson. I am a product design leader, an educator out here in the Los Angeles area, and also an ambassador with Marine. Thanks for coming today.
Awesome. Okay, so if we could go to the agenda for today, we'll do a quick introduction of UXDX for those who may not be familiar with the organization. And then we'll have an awesome presenter. We had our second presenter had to cancel due to an emergency, but we'll still have a great conversation. So let's jump over to the next one. Okay, so quickly about UXDX. It has a simple yet powerful mission, which is advancing how product teams collaborate. And the way UXDX does this is through engaging events. They have a lot of great conferences, trainings, and supportive global communities like the one we're in today. And over the past 9 years, UXDX has brought together product design and development teams together. Two of their flagship events are the UXDX in US, which typically happens in New York, and they already have the dates for the one in 2026. And then EMEA, which is transition to Berlin. So both of those are happening May of 2026. And so far, they've brought together over 30,000 professionals, and they have a lot of the community gatherings across 20 cities worldwide. So let's actually jump over, and Billy, I'll pass it over to you to talk a little bit more about the community events.
Sure. Yeah. So we like to have these community events. As you saw, we have two flagship conferences. And sorry, one second. We have two flagship conferences, as you saw, but we have lots of local chapters that do local events, just like we're doing today. And we think it's just really important to get our local communities together as well as global communities, because there's a lot of benefit in engaging with each other, in person. We have lots of things planned. And one thing I wanted to mention is we're trying to do our first in-person out here coming up, hopefully in the fall, and more to come with that. But we like to say that we like to be global and local, and I think it's really important. So today, we are going to have Joyce from the JPL talk about her the importance of connections and making connection. And unfortunately, Megan couldn't be here today. But we're really excited to get started. So I will let Joyce take it away for us.
Yay, thank you. Okay, let's see. There we go. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you to the UXDX community for letting me be here. And then thank you to everybody who's spending Thursday afternoon with us. This is exciting. So I've titled this talk, Connection is Currency, the Key to Influence and Impact at Work. These are some things that I've practiced over the years in my career as a designer. And I found some things at work, and I would love to pass that knowledge on to everyone. So hopefully you find this helpful. So a quick little introduction. That is me with some sparkles. I am a designer, and I work at a little place called NASA, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, located in La Cañada, Flint Ridge. It's just outside of Pasadena, which is outside of Los Angeles. And I actually like to tell people that I work with rocket scientists who do things like this, which is actually pretty cool. And we're actually known at JPL for our Mars rovers. And we're also known for a helicopter. That was the newest thing that we launched with the latest rover a couple years ago. And we're also not just limited to those rovers. In October of last year, we launched Europa Clipper. And Clipper will reach Jupiter in about 5.5 years, and maybe about 5 years now, and do several flybys to collect data of its icy moon Europa, which is very cool. And so back to me a little bit. So why am I here? I love The Simpsons, so this is a Simpsons reference if you get this one. You might remember me from such places as I gave a talk at last year's Figma conference, Config. And what I talked about was what it was like working as a designer at JPL, and specifically what it's like working on complex problems with those rocket scientists. And I described my day-to-day as being a therapist to systems engineers or rocket scientists, because I spend the majority of my time listening to people, sometimes talking, mostly listening. Because to solve the complex problems in aerospace, we actually need really, really smart people, and a lot of these really smart people. And as you can imagine, when you're working on a project with this many people, good communication is critical, and it gets pretty tricky. So this is what I do. And these are photos from all the different projects that I actually work on. This is what I spend the most of my time doing. I sit in meetings and I listen to a lot of people, just like a therapist. I ask some questions and I have a lot of conversations. And a lot of the times I don't actually design anything. I just bring people together in a room and they talk. And because I do that, I'm a mediator. I bring those people together and I facilitate conversations between people and different groups of people. And sometimes I conduct workshops, which I know a lot of us have done. And I do that to make conversations happen between a lot of people who don't normally talk to each other. And then I also watch people work. And this helps me understand their problems better, or what they're actually trying to accomplish. Now, this is actually a study that we do to build a model of a spacecraft. And these are all different people who work on different systems for a spacecraft to actually work. And they all have to come together and collaborate and talk to each other. And so I have to go in there and watch how they do their job and trying to figure out what they accomplish to help them build things to help them do their job. But then once I figure out like what is it that they need to do, I translate whatever it is, their findings, into solutions. And then I communicate those to a development team. Now, this is a development team that I work very closely with. And as you can see, I kind of sit in the middle of all these different types of people. And since my config talk last year, I've had a little bit more time to reflect on what it is I do in my day-to-day. And I now think of myself more than a therapist. I'm more of a connector. I build strong relationships with all the people that I work with, the stakeholders, my customers, the developers. And because I'm a connector, it not only helps me solve the complex problems in aerospace, it also has benefited me in the process of doing these things. So what does it mean to be a connector? What do I mean when I say that term? Well, a connector is someone who has a willingness to help other people, has people from lots of different backgrounds. You like to listen to people. You're able to get people to talk. You can focus on making connections and not just collecting numbers, people as numbers. And I believe a connector is a natural role for designers since we work with a lot of different types of people. And we actually need that to excel at our job. And as an added bonus, being a connector gets you further in your career. So why is it important? Well, these are the leadership skills. These are the things that you will take with you to every job that you have. It is important. It's the invisible work that's important, and it makes the job a lot easier for you. And in the eyes of the organization, they reward connectors. You'll be seen more as a leader. You improve the communication across different groups of people, and it also leads to a promotion, which is what most of us want in our career, right? So how to be a connector? We're all probably doing some of the things that I'm going to talk about today, So keep doing those things. It just means that you're on the right track. And some of these things will help you to be a better connector. You just kind of have to find opportunities to exercise it. And so the three main things that I'm going to go over, I love action verbs, so I put those in action verbs. The first one is be present. The second one is be curious. And the third one is to take initiative. Sounds very simple. And I will note that, yeah, I'm a designer and I do these things, but these things aren't just limited to designers. Everybody can actually do these things. And I've done these things in my job, and it's actually, I've seen the benefits of them. Okay, so first one, be present. This is all about showing up, showing your work, just being there. It's about, being human. There's a quote that I actually like, but it's an old quote by a Roman dramatist. I am human. I am a human being. Nothing human can be alien to me, which I actually like. So show your face. That is the first one. This is a kind of a sad photo, but I wanted to show it. This is actually my desk that I've been assigned to. I don't sit at it anymore. It looks a little sad and lonely right now. I know. Because the stakeholders and customers and developers that I work with are actually on a different floor of the building, and I camp out close to them so that I can actually have conversations with them. So this is about showing your face, around the people that you work with, co-locating. This is a pretty easy one. Since I work on very complex problems, it's easier to work on a sticky problem if I have face-to-face meetings. It's just easier to have those conversations because we have different vocabularies. Especially when, we're talking to people who are very, very sciencey and are super technical and into the details about things. Plus, communication is 80% body language, and it makes it a lot easier for us to get on the same page. Yeah. In video meetings, I know some of us work remotely. Turn your camera on, make yourself be seen. I believe that, if I don't turn my camera on, I am doing a huge disservice to myself. So I like to show my face and show that I'm actually there and paying attention. I've heard that some people believe that if you have your camera off, people think that you're not paying attention, you're doing other things. So you want to be involved in the meeting. So make sure you turn your camera on. Show your work. This is another one that I love. Just put it up, show it early and often. You bring people into your world, you bring people into your process. So when you show it early and often, you bring people along with you in your journey. I like to advise, don't wait until the final deliverables of anything. Don't wait for things to be completely thought out. Just have ideas, have sketches, that's fine. You build trust with people when you let them in early and let them into how you're solving a problem for them. And then find opportunities to actually show your work. Brown bag lunches, this happens, just hallway conversations that you have with people. Just find opportunities to talk about your work, show your work, kind of evangelize it. And then finally, be social. One way to do that is actually have outings with people. In my team, this is kind of representative of what we do. We actually do hang out with each other. So it's this happened last week. And this is actually, the development team that I actually showed you, and also some of our customers. We actually go out and have a good time together. Now you may not have opportunities to have group outings, and that's fine. Find ways to have coffee with individuals, especially if you don't prefer group outings. And then if you're remote, virtual coffees are fine too. But just find ways to get outside of stuffy meetings. People tend to let down their guard when it's outside of company meetings. And then I've also heard questions about well, what if I'm shy? I don't like talking about, talking in meetings, or I don't like talking to people. And that's fine. I'm not asking you to go outside of your comfort zone and be somebody who you're not. Just find out what's most comfortable for you. Maybe you don't like those group settings, so you can do one-on-ones. I also have found out that most designers are introverted, but introverts are actually very talkative people once they get comfortable. So just find what works for you. Okay, be curious. Take an interest, get intel, build relationships. So all together, these things kind of emphasize establishing a rapport, and communicating more effectively leads to better collaboration with other people. And I love a good Ted Lasso quote: be curious, not judgmental. Something I try to remember to build relationships with, all of your customers, your stakeholders, all the people that you work with. You want to be naturally curious about people. People also love this. Being curious is actually just listening to people, and that actually leads to empathy, which we designers are all very familiar with. And so that helps exercise that empathy muscle that we have. So take an interest in people. And so what I like to say here is I like to engage in active listening. This is, listening more than just with your ears, like showing that you're actually interested in what the other person is saying. You can speak with your body. Even though you're silent, your body is kind of participating in the conversation. You can lean in, you can nod to what the person is saying, you can smile. And this actually gets people talking even more, which is great because you want more intel, you want more information. So listen, and people love when you take an interest in them. So as they're speaking, you'll get information. And this is actually great because you'll get an idea of what's happening, what other people are working on in other teams, in other parts of the organization. You'll get a really good handle on what's happening and what is going on. And it's also really good when you get into an organization to make an org chart. This is like a visual map. You can do something really quick. And this is just a reference for you. You just know like who to talk to for certain things. It's very handy. And then finally, like when you do all these things, talking with people, you'll eventually start building relationships with people and engaging with others. So building relationships actually helps you in building persuasion. So when you're starting to sell your ideas, this will help you persuade people, and you'll also start to find some of your design allies. Now, allies are very important because they will help you. They will help edify you and your work, and they'll spread the word about your good work to other people. And then last point, take initiative. This is all about taking a confident and mindful approach to any situation, being aware of your surroundings and fully engaging. So be helpful and find opportunities. So taking initiative, this is just all about start doing, just being a little proactive, getting involved in whatever is happening around you in your organization. You can listen for opportunities to help out. So be helpful, give to get. Every once in a while, if I have a little bit of time and it doesn't take up a lot of my time, I will help out a colleague every once in a while. This shows that you can actually do something and then they'll maybe want to return the favor a little bit down the line. It also helps build good working collaborative relationships too. And then find those opportunities. So if you're talking to people and listening, you'll start to hear a lot of things happening around you. There might be like an important initiative or goal happening, something that people are kind of rallied around in the organization. And if you're listening, people will also be comfortable talking to you about it, and you can kind of help out if you can. People always love enlisting designers to help them. I've noticed that we get to know what's going on with certain things in the organization that a lot of times are kind of kept secret. I'm sure that you guys have done that. And so that's always really a good thing to have. And then finally, leave your design bubble if you're not doing this already. This one's really, really important. I know that it's kind of a scary thought. We love to like talk to designers about other design things. But what happens when we stay in our design bubble, we're only exposed to like all the world of things in design. We get kind of comfortable and we become a little bit too similar. So if you're out talking to other people and other teams, you get different perspectives and you get that intel. And this also helps with building empathy in your job, and it helps with information gathering. So I think it's really, really important to talk to other people. And then I like to do a little summary of what we just talked about. Be present, be curious, take initiative. And as a designer, I've actually done all of these things to build the trusting relationships I have with my stakeholders and customers and the developers that I showed you. And they all start to come to me with anything on their mind, and they are real eager to partner with me and to help them, achieve whatever it is that they're trying to do. So now what? What do we do with all of this information now? What's the message? So being a connector actually benefits the organization and it benefits you. The easy part, I've always said this about being a designer, is designing stuff. All the technical stuff, all the tools that we use, that's the easy part. But being a connector, the things that require interpersonal skills, that is actually the hard part of the job. And I learned that on the job. And that's actually the part that allows you to be seen as a leader, because success is based 10% on technical skills and 90% on people skills. And from what I've actually noticed, these figures are really true for success in most areas of life. And so I like to say that interpersonal skills, also known as soft skills, are going to be the things that advance you and your career, and also design culture in your organization and actually in the world. You'll cultivate a lot of relationships. You'll bring people together. You'll make your job easier. You'll improve communication. You'll eventually move up the ladder. And that's the invisible work that's going to do it. It's not really the technical skills. Now, I have to say that, I'll be honest, this is real talk. JPL NASA is actually probably the most challenging environment I've actually worked in as a designer, because I work with a lot of engineers who are very entrepreneurial. They like to tackle things on their own. And so I have to be a connector to work on these complex problems and work with these, super brainy people that I work with at NASA. And it wasn't in the original job description that I needed these interpersonal skills, to be a connector, but it didn't take me long to figure out once I got in there and started working. And I'm actually using all of the soft skills that I learned throughout my career as a designer to make it in this environment at NASA JPL. And I believe that a designer that does not have the interpersonal skills will have a tough road ahead in getting opportunities and moving up in the organization, and also getting design to be taken more seriously. So go forth, be a connector. I've done these things in the toughest environment, and I've noticed that I've actually made a lot of accomplishments. I've had a lot of successes. I made a lot of really great products working with people, and I have them coming to me to work on future projects with them, which is great. So it's actually worked out. And I encourage all of you to kind of try some of these things if you haven't, and do more of it if you're already doing it. You'll find that your job, things at work, will get easier. And like all things, it's kind of hard in the beginning, especially if it's not something that's comes naturally to your personality. But just try it and see what happens. And it will get easier as you do it, and be patient, because it takes time. When something is different, it takes a little bit of time, but you will start to see change, and design starts to be included more and more. You'll be included more and more, and trust gets established, which is really nice. And people will start to come to you with anything on their mind. They have like an idea about something, any kind of conversations. They'll start to come to you with everything, which is great. And there's a lot of like, there's great power in that. And that's like influence and persuasion. And pretty soon you'll start to see that you've established a design culture. And then you'll notice that people start to see you as a leader and come to you with a lot of things. So it will pay off. Oh, and I guess we're at the end. Thank you. That went by quick.
Thank you. That was great, Joyce. Thanks so much for sharing. Sometimes it may feel like it's the simple things, but oftentimes they end up being the most impactful things. One couple of questions I had
Yes.
for you is, how did you realize that you were a connector? Was it someone did someone share that with you, or was it a self-realization that you're a connector and you just kind of embraced and doubled down on that?
That's a great question. I think it was a little bit of both.
Okay.
I have a really close ally at work. Importance of allies. We talk about like the work that we're doing. We're partnered on a lot of projects that we're doing, and we had talked about a long time ago when I was my slides for my config talk about being a therapist, because I was just like listening to people all the time. But then I realized that, oh my gosh, I bring all these people together. And so, having a conversation with my friend, my coworker, my friend, we kind of like came up with that, oh my gosh, you're connecting people, you're connecting the dots. And so we kind of, I guess we figured it out together. But I like the term connector better than therapist now.
Yeah, because there's a balance in that, right? Because then your time will be, it's sometimes could be a time suck to just like have everyone see you as a therapist and come to you with all the problems.
Yes.
So on another note, like how do you make the time to intentionally be a connector? Because we all get have our plates full, so I'm curious, like if you have kind of daily practices or tips that you could share on how to be a connector.
Yes. Okay. So this is great. I love this question. I do have one thing that I do. Right now, we're all hybrid at JPL. Well, not all of us. I am hybrid, I should say. I go in about 3 days a week. We have a return to office that's coming up in end of August. So we're all going to be on lab every day, 5 days a week coming up. But what I actually like to do when I'm there is I like to make rounds. And I believe like the actual term for it is border walking. Where you kind of go around. It's kind of like a doctor that does their rounds, to go check on all patients. And like I kind of walk around. I actually have to block time on my calendar to do that. Otherwise somebody will put a meeting on there, or I don't actually do it. And so I do actually spend time like, visiting people and like, seeing them in their cubicles or at their desk. And also scheduling lunches with people, every couple of weeks, somebody that, you may need to check in on and see like, what are you working on? Like, how can we collaborate on something? There's things like that, and like coffee time too. So, and if you're, fully remote, virtual coffees. I'm a big fan of virtual coffees.
So you don't wait for people to come to you. You just kind of go to them. And I saw that you shared that you just moved from your desk completely and joined the floor that your stakeholders are on. So that's great.
Yes. And then I actually skipped it because I didn't see it. I totally forgot about it in there. I got a Slack message from somebody that I used to sit, that sits around the corner from my desk. And she's like, I haven't seen you in a while. Is everything okay? It's really cute.
That's funny. Billy, are there any other questions that we can?
Yeah, so we got some questions from the audience. I'm just going to go with the first one, which is, what is your team size and structure at JPL? So where
Oh,
do you fit within it? And like, what
yes.
team are you on? Who's on your team?
So this is this is interesting. This might be a little bit of a shocker. NASA JPL, just JPL. There's several other NASA centers. There's about 9 across the country. Our JPL is about 5,000, probably a little bit more. Probably about 5,000, 5,500. And I would say there's probably about 30 designers total. And so that's a really small number. So you can see like the challenges that I'm facing of like, getting design established in a mostly, science systems engineering organization. That is their priority, is flight missions, so they want people who know how to build a rocket, right? And so we're having to establish design as a partner with them. So we are very small. There's not a lot of us. And we have 2 main design groups, I would say, for UX and product designers. There is a design studio that does a lot of the more communications sort of design. There's them, and then there's 2 main groups that are, we're really small. There's probably about 5 or 6 in each group, so probably about 10 of us total that are actually like UX product designers. And my group works with a lot of digital tools that help, maintain, monitor the building and the tracking of, building a spacecraft. And then the sister group that we have actually works on like flight missions. So a little bit more involved with the flight mission sort of software building there.
Very cool.
So yeah, that's kind of how it's built. That's kind of how it is. So, and then we're trying to build a very strong design culture in the process of all the work that we have. So there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah, it sounds like it's very interesting. It's like we all work on digital products, and yours, they use it to go to space, which is pretty amazing.
We're all launching something. You're just launching a rocket in the space, just find the difference.
Yeah, just doing that. I've always been fascinated because, we always hear like this iPhone, that's like the same compute power that launched like the first, space, and it filled 3 rooms, and you're building the software to do that now, which is so beyond interesting to me. I just love it.
Yeah.
So like the next question is very similar to what I asked, but like the day-to-day. So you definitely work on different types of software that help all the engineers.
Yes.
So like, what would a typical day be like? I guess walking around, talking with people, seeing how the software is working. But then you can answer the rest.
Okay, so it's really interesting. In our group, we work on different things. I can tell you a little bit about like a lot of the work that we kind of spread across the group, and then what I specifically work on. There's a lot of process design, because engineers love process. They live in process. Like if they could just like sit there and like do process, they would do it over and over again. Like just reprocess how their brains work. But so a lot of people in my group and my team are helping, doing a lot of service design. So a lot of process maps and sort of like journey mapping, and sort of looking for pain points and like, okay, where can we like improve efficiency here? I've been lucky enough to land in a group that actually is pretty unique, I would say, at JPL. We actually do build custom software that's not really done at JPL. They like to have commercial tools and use that, build APIs on top of that to make it work for the systems engineers. But a lot of times those tools, we can't customize them enough for what the engineers need to do. So I actually work with a team, and that was the picture that I showed you. My dev team, we actually do help build tools. We're building custom tools to build models of spacecraft. And our goal is actually we get business into the lab, which is really important. Because basically NASA sends out an announcement of opportunity, and they want, the example, we want to go to Saturn and do this kind of science, right? We want to investigate this. And so anybody can actually submit a proposal to NASA and say like, hey, we're gonna build it in this, within budget and within time. And so what we actually do with those studies, all those people that are actually in that room, they come together. They're representatives of different subsystems of a spacecraft. There's thermal, there's power, there's mechanical, there's all kinds of stuff. And they all have to like work together and come together and make something. So what they actually do there is they build a model of the spacecraft that is very true to the actual parts, the hardware that we're going to use to build it. And so we get it very close to the schedule that we would, need to build the actual spacecraft, and within the budget that NASA has proposed. And so we submit that, and then, NASA reviews it and they say yay or nay. And we actually get a lot of yay. So a lot of business, but there's software that needs to support building those models of spacecraft. And so that's what me and the dev team do. So, which is actually really, really cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
So my day to day, okay, so that was, I actually like kind of went off on a little tangent there, but my day to day is like anywhere from doing a lot of interviews, talking to a lot of developers, a lot of like, can we actually build this? And then, figuring out what is it that the engineers are actually trying to accomplish? Like, what is it? Okay, so how can we make your job a lot easier? Because right now they're working in a lot of spreadsheets. So I look at a lot of spreadsheets, and the spreadsheets are, they're very flexible, but they're very error prone, and they're very slow. And so, a lot of my day-to-day is actually looking at spreadsheets and, talking to people about how they use spreadsheets and what are they trying to accomplish in spreadsheets, and, how can we make this a little bit more efficient for you? So a lot of that. And then eventually I do get to design in Figma, which is great.
I have a few more, but Marne, if you have anything you want to jump in and ask.
One thing kind of point I wanted to spend a little bit of time. You mentioned on being social.
Yes.
And I think that may come more naturally to some than others, right? Like any kind of advice you have for our introverted friends who may not feel as comfortable being social and like planning outings and, getting the team out of the work environment.
Yes. I made a point to like say it because I know it comes naturally to me. And like, I also got a little bit more comfortable with it over the years. Like I, spent a lot of time before I, became a full-time designer, just out of college. I needed to pay my bills. So I worked in the restaurant. I was a bartender and a server, and I hated like approaching people for a long time. Like, it's really hard. I know. It's really hard, like going up to a table. I'm like, hi, how you doing? Like you need that icebreaker. I realized that that's really hard. So I struggled with it for a long time, but and kind of, the more that you do something, the better you get at it. And you just I don't think about it anymore. So I do it to everybody. So I practiced it. I do realize that a lot of people, are introverted, and it is, hard to do that icebreaker. So, start off small with, you don't have to be like the life of the party. You don't have to go in and like, interrupt groups of people, just see somebody and compliment their shoes. Like, hey, I like your shoes. That automatically like makes people's day and gets them talking, right? You got your in, because they'll start talking about, because what's the response that you usually get? Oh, I bought them here, right? And then you can find a way to kind of keep that conversation going. and then just keep talking. And like, then it's very natural that way. It's not, it doesn't feel forced, and it doesn't seem
Yeah.
like you're trying so hard. But yeah, if you're not comfortable, and I realize this, like, with large groups of people, just one person, ask them for a virtual coffee, ask them for a coffee. That's it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. Keep it small, be
Mhm.
yourself.
Yep.
And that's the best you can do, because it's really important to connect with people, even
Mhm.
if you might not be the one, like a stand-up comedian in front of everybody talking. But if you can just connect with one person and do
Mhm.
that multiple times, you'll have a good network. I
And
love that.
I think it's really important for our job as designers. We have to talk to people, right?
Yeah.
Just part of the job. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think as you grow as a leader too, um, I like to share sometimes with either people I mentor or even my team, like that, like being social and being a little bit more extroverted too. Like I think once you treat it as a skill rather than a personality, that might help kind of overcome that. It's like, hey, I need to get out of my shell a little bit. But yeah, I think as a leader, you have to develop that and get
Yeah.
a little bit more comfortable with practice, and maybe you just practice it in an environment you're comfortable with, and just continue honing that skill.
I like that. I like that skill,
Yeah.
not a personality thing. I like.
Yeah, because I think when people think of it as a personality, it's like harder to change because they think like you're just like that. You're either an introvert or an extrovert. But I think once you treat it as a skill, like, hey, I could be more extroverted with practice.
Yep.
Yeah.
It might help overcome that a little bit.
I think something you said that was really interesting was that communication is 80% body language, which I think is so true. And that's something that you can also practice, especially if you're introverted, just feeling comfortable. And like, again, the more you do it, the more practice. But remembering that, like, if you're yourself and you're genuinely curious about what someone's doing, they'll see that and feel that, and they'll be very open with you, and they'll have a much more productive conversation. So
Yeah.
I liked a lot of what you said. I wrote like little notes during it. So
I also
Um,
read books on FBI profiling too. There's some tips in there on like how to get people to like talk to you, like to kind of motivate them to
yeah,
talk. So, if you guys are interested in that.
I watch a lot of spy movies, so I feel like I get that. But I should probably do the real research. One thing I wanted to say, and it's just going back to your three, things you mentioned: be present, be curious, and take initiative. And I want this for like everyone in the audience, is I get asked a lot, like, how do you become a leader? How do you become promoted within your organization? How do you sort of be seen as that designer that people go to? And every one of those is it, really. That's what I really liked about it. And it's like, to me, it's like you can practice those at any level you're in. And as you get more comfortable as a designer, you do more projects, you get more experience, and also you get more comfortable with the organization you work in. People will start seeing you as that person to go to. And I think that's really important. So
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thanks, Joyce. Well, we don't want to keep you in the hot seat for too long. So appreciate you
yeah,
answering.
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks everybody. This has been great.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Thank
was really
you.
good.
Hopefully we'll get to have the next meetup in person. Billy, are you able to pull up the last slide with the QR codes?
I think we
Okay,
can.
there
There
it
we
is.
go.
Yeah, awesome. So, yeah, if you want to be informed in any upcoming events, you could join the UXDX LA meetup group. And then if you're interested in speaking at one of these local events, there's the QR code to apply to speak. Would love to take it into consideration and see what interesting insights you have to share with the community.
Yes.
Yeah, and with that, I think we can wrap up. But one note: if you're in the audience and you have an office space that you're willing to host one of these events, would love to connect and chat about that, because ideally we want to have these in person and get to network and meet others in the industry. So if you have the space, would love to talk. And Billy, anything else before we wrap up?
No, we look forward to the next one. We're hoping it'll be in person, but we will definitely get one to you sooner than we did last time. And we're really excited to keep doing this programming with you. So that's it. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all. Have a great day.